Are you just ending the show? It's no good.
Welcome, everybody, to Court Cousins, episode 56. My name is Kyle. I'm joined, as always, by my cousin, my co-host, Jason the Peach. Peach, what do we got going on today's show, sir?
On today's show, we've got the social media roundup just the way you like it, with a mix of stuff from the Magic community and all of basketball community. We'll even talk about a little bit of a civil war breaking out. Ooh, we've also got fill in the blank. And then, of course, the time when you call everyone a scallywag to stay around for that large ending.
Absolutely. And before we get into all that hijinks and hilarity, shout out to all the All-Stars and second cousins over on the Patreon. Magic Player History, Bolby the Dawn, Paulo and Franz's Warmth, Andy, Dylan Holden, Drum, Rafael Perez, Breadhead, Matthew Bell, Dan Young, Gloria and Damien, Connor and Yachty. My bad, Yachty. What's up, homie?
Hey, we're going to have a much better show today because the writer's strike is over, so we're actually going to do some content now.
We've got some material finally. But first, Peach, haven't talked to you in a couple weeks. The show is really coming back to its roots for me. Get to spend some time with my cousin. How are you doing, sir, for the psychological check-in?
For the psychological check-in, I've selected this one of Cole celebrating. He's got his finger up in the air. Something good has happened. He's excited about it. No lie, before it is that seasonal depression time for me, but I've been digging in and looking at the positives, and it's been a lot easier to stomach this year because I feel like I'm where I want to be, doing something that's good. Last year, I was there with you and it was good.
Right.
It was a great situation, but it felt like a holding part, for
Right.
me a little bit. Like it was kind of not what was up. And I think this week will mark coming up. Will mark 6 months in Dallas for me. And I before that had spent 6 months in Austin, but then turned around and went right back to Boston. It's a long story. I've told it over the course of time, but for me, ever since I moved to Austin in 2020 during the pandemic, and that kind of didn't work out the way I wanted it to, and I had to come back, I just felt like something was missing. That fresh start I had really wanted, I didn't get it. It just didn't feel like I was having it. And I went back to Boston. That didn't work. Went to Connecticut. Things improved greatly for me when I was there, but it still felt like it was not maybe.
Right.
I felt like I was in your life a little bit more, not mine.
Yeah.
So being able to come back to Texas and plant down and be here for 6 months and be feeling like I'm going nowhere, and that's a good thing. And I mean that in a good way. like I'm not packing stuff up. I'm pulling stuff out of the boxes for permanent stay. That's great for me, and it just feels good. It feels like I'm getting a little bit of closure on something that started in 2020 very badly, and finally getting that closure in 2023 in a positive way, and in a way that would have been way better than had it worked out in Austin. So sometimes those things that happen in your life, they're there for a reason. They lead you in a different direction. They move you from here to there, and everywhere. And I've been remembering a lot lately as I come up on this 6 month anniversary that do it, and so to anyone else out there, if you're going through some bad times, they could lead you to some better times. So don't fret on it too much. Don't let it weigh you down, because there could always be some more better things coming. And I have something along those lines to talk about later. I think that's going to shock you. It's going to be the hottest take I've probably had on this program in quite a while. So stay tuned for that. How are you feeling for the psychological check? You're looking stylish.
Oh, yeah. So I am glad to hear, first of all, I'm glad to hear you're putting down a peach plant, putting down some roots, a peach growth flower, perhaps, emerging in Dallas. I'd love to see it. Excited
to watch the show. He gets it.
How am I feeling for the psychological check-in? I have this shot recently from Cole Anthony's Instagram. I don't know what it's from. It's fashion. I think it's fashion, Peach. He's got, a button-up look with a black tie, white button-down shirt on, business up top, and then he's wearing what looks like a kilt or a man skirt beneath. That's the fashion part with some, things going on. So it's very much like a mullet right now, and that's kind of how I'm feeling. It's business up top, party down on the bottom, And that's where I am right now. I'm business for the next few days. I've got school, teaching the youths, but soon I'm going to Phoenix at the end of this week, Thursday, Friday, taking off work. I'll be in Arizona for 4 days for the lady's friend is getting married, and we're making a little vacation out of it. And then I come back and I just have a day and a half of work, and then that second day is my birthday into Thanksgiving. So I have a little bit of business up top that I got to handle, got to teach the youths and all that. But there's a lot of party coming below this. If you could see below this shot, not wearing pants, because that's how close I am to the party. Yeah. I'm wearing a kilt, all right? The guys aren't out. Just like Cole Anthony, I'm wearing a man skirt.
That you know what? I dig this. I dig this look.
Yeah.
I'm in it. I'm in on that. But the problem is if I wore that outside, I'd be scoffed at by society.
Right.
But he does it, puts the shades on, has got the cool hair, and it's fine.
It's cool.
But if I did it, I'd be labeled the creep and not allowed to get near school.
You ever worn any women's clothing? Just throwing this out there.
In public?
Or private. I'm into private dish. I'm leaning in for this one.
Well, in private, I don't kiss and tell. In public, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I wore a skirt. I went to a Rocky Horror Picture Show, and that's kind of one of the things where you'll just like get it and drag a little bit. Threw on a skirt, ended up getting laid, so it worked out there, gentlemen. So don't be afraid to embrace some of the finer things in life, because it might work out for you.
You gave that same tip before, but it stands true. My tip is, if somebody ever asks you if you've ever been skinny dipping, you always say, no, I've never been skinny dipping. And guess what? Within the next 15 minutes, you're going to be skinny dipping.
See, ladies and gentlemen, second cousins, you did not know you were coming for these pearls of wisdom, but here you are. All right, second cousins. Mm-hmm. Oh, good stuff. Okay, so let's do some show then. Let's do some basketball talk, I guess, if we must.
That is the creamy filling of the show. Yeah.
Without further ado, let's get to the creamy filling. And no one better to start than with the man, Jay Mysterio. This post is from, I can't read, I just tried to maximize the screen. Ty Knowles. Oh, it's Ty Knowles. Tyler Hahn, 14. Jalen Suggs is different this year. This was taken from when they went down to Mexico. And this luchador, is that correct, Peace? You're the wrestling aficionado. Is this the right thing? Yeah, so
luchador mask. It's lucha libre is the style. It's just any masked Mexican wrestling. This looks like a Rey Mysterio mask. And so he has now donned the name Jay Mysterio, which is excellent nickname. Makes me want to say Booyaka, Booyaka 407. Right? Wrestling fans get that reference. But I loved how much stuff there was on the Orlando Magic social media on this day. It would have been almost impossible for you to not know they were playing a game in Mexico City and that the boys were down there having some fun. Maybe a little too much fun. But it was good. It was a good content day for the Magic for sure. A big win. Big win from that side.
And so lucha libre, you said, is the name of the style. Mm-hmm. Libre, I don't no hablo más español, pero yo sé que libre means free, right? Doesn't libre mean free or something like that? Mm-hmm. Maybe it's a more free style of wrestling, because Jalen Suggs is really taking that on to me, Peach. I don't know what you've seen in the 14 minutes of game action that you've watched, but he is playing. No, I'm just throwing a little bit of shade. That's a different segment, Kyle. In 9 games, we've got a Jalen Suggs, ladies and gentlemen, shooting 35% from the field, or from three-point range, 40% from the field. But it's not really that. It's more about his defense. He's averaging 1.3 steals per game, and he's just been the lightning rod, man. It was a really tough loss against the Hawks. We're talking about the Mexico game here. That was bad. But if there was a bright spot, it was Jalen Suggs, and we're reminded of that by Jeff Weltman's foreheads, who said, it sucks that the Jalen Suggs masterclass got lost in that terrible ending, because he had 7 steals. What a sicko. And that's what we need. And it doesn't go away with Jalen Suggs, which is why I love this kid. And we've always been on the hill for Jalen Suggs. let's give it a chance. I believe the shot. It looks good. And what I love is the energy, Peesh. Had that bad loss, as I've mentioned a couple times. Next game, I'm not feeling good going against the Bucks. I didn't love it. But who comes out with energy immediately? Jalen Suggs. And it doesn't matter if we just got beat by 40 or we're a tough loss. He's going to bring it every single time, and I think that's what we need. We need someone to be who sets the tone, and that's what Jalen Suggs has been doing. I've been absolutely impressed. I think, I was saying starting shooting guard at the beginning of the year, he's been playing that. I think he's cemented it, especially with Gary Harris not being able to get on the floor and even make it a conversation. But how are you feeling about early season Jalen Suggs and what you've seen, Peach?
Yeah, I echo most of that. I feel like, he always has had that dog in him, as you said in your wrap up against the Bucks the other day. And so it's not a surprise to me, but it is a surprise that he's continuing to score at a good level. The shot does look much better. He's becoming more reliable. This is the Jalen Suggs that we hoped he'd develop into, right? So now we've got that guy. So now the expectations are that this continues, right? So like if he has 1 or 2 bad games here and there, he's a human being, but he needs to be at this level on a more consistent basis. But I love what I'm seeing from him so far. The end of that Hawks game was so disappointing for me. That was the first full game I watched this year, bell to bell, and was just like, first of all, this is the part of the reason I can't stand watching the NBA regular season games. You can't get near Trae Young. They're just going to call a foul. It was so aggravating to watch guys like basically say, okay, just let him go, and then still have them call a foul. So it was like, I don't know if the refs feel bad for him because he's got that patchy hair situation, but he was probably going to do fine with the ladies. You don't need to give him every foul call in the book. But down the stretch, it just didn't look like we had any way of like manhandling that game. And you heard Paulo talk about it after the Bucks game with his thoughts, where he said, I'm the guy. I need to take that ball. I need to be the guy that makes that shot. And we have lacked that in the past. And it's good that he knows he's got to be that guy.
Yeah.
Because we could have used that in that game, somebody to put in, the dagger when we were up, because that game, they let that get away. I'm not surprised that the Magic came out with fire against the Bucks, who, by the way, without Damian Lillard, are not going to be the same team.
Right.
But the Bucks have those games where they just sort of they're like they let down and they lose to a mystery opponent. That's always been the Bucks, no matter how good they are. And this was a combination of missing Dame and having one of those off games. Not that the Magic didn't play well, but at least now when that's happening, they just go take it instead of like toiling in the mid card and then not getting a win that they should have gotten. And which is a reason why, you're 5-4 at this point instead of, 2-8.
All right. And another big reason that we're 5-4, we've had some injuries, but the depth has been coming through. Super Goga's been playing solid basketball. Moritz has been playing really good in the wake of Wendell going down. And a guy who's been playing really well since Markelle Fultz has had the meniscus issue in his knee, the tendonitis, in his knee, is Anthony Black. The 6th overall pick, Dante Marchitelli, reminds us here since 96-97, the most consecutive field goals made to start an NBA career was 9 until tonight. Anthony Black broke that record, started a perfect 10 for 10 in his NBA career, now the most for any NBA player in 27 years. Special. You've seen a couple in that Hawks game. He's impressed me on a couple big areas, Peach. This statistic here that, first 10 makes, okay, that doesn't necessarily mean so much, but what it does mean to me is how he takes what the game gives him. He plays within the flow of the game. He's a very intelligent player. He's not trying to do too much, which rookies often either have to do, they're forced to do because of the situation they came into, like kind of we asked too much of Jalen Suggs to start, or they're not ready. They're moving too fast. Either their mind is moving too fast for their feet or the other way around. He's taking what's coming to him, and it's surprising me how willing he is to shoot the three. That has been a really pleasant surprise so far. I was worried about that in Summer League. Watching him live and seeing him pass up open threes, maybe it was more of the wrist. He had a wrist issue during that time. Maybe that was it. Or it could just be his hard work, because I've seen some people posting about, right after games, he's getting up shots when he wasn't playing for a couple hours afterwards. So that's impressive. He has been a special player. He's been a very good player. I'm curious to see how high this kid's ceiling can go, especially if he keeps shooting the three. It's not on the move or anything. It's a set shot. He's not doing a lot off the dribble, but he's taking what's coming to him, and he's not afraid to pull the trigger when he's open, which we need more of that on the Orlando Magic. Peach, what's been your sense so far of what you've seen from the young crazy-haired gentleman?
Well, first of all, I think Dante, again, he's on the payroll, so he has to say things like this are special, because I didn't know that this was a fact until this post that you've brought to the show, because it's not like he was 10 for 10 in one game. That was over a series of games. So but your point was exactly where I was going to go with this, where that he's taking what he's comfortable with and what he can make. And I guess it's impressive to see him actually putting the threes up. I need to hope that his ability to make them improves. But
he's shooting 50%, Peach. 50% from beyond three.
He's raw.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I haven't seen that. Or how many is he throwing up? 8?
Well, yeah, exactly.
It's not a large. We don't have a large sample size to go by for all this stuff. So even like I said, that 10 for 10, that's probably over the course of 3 games, right?
Something like that. Yeah, I think so.
So I mean, and layups and shit. I mean, is it special? I don't know. It's cool. I'm glad for him. That's a cool fact to have. But MSC, he's just a very raw player. But you can see that there's parts there that you're like, all right, there's something here. It gives you the more inkling as to why the Magic went out on a limb, or a conceived limb, and drafted him at number 6, right? You can see that there's pieces there. Obviously, they scouted him enough to know they saw those same pieces and stuff too. I'm glad to see that's translated to the NBA game and not just from his college days. So I'm hopeful that there's potential for him to, at some point become maybe a fringe all-star at some point, maybe 4 or 5 years down the road.
Yeah, we like
That's
it.
what I see. I mean,
I see our version of a Josh Giddey, a big guard who is creative with the ball. He's a way better defender than Giddey, in my opinion. But he's going to make smart decisions. And that could be a fringe all-star. I wasn't even thinking that high, but I like it. And he's been filling in, unfortunately, in my mind, for a guy that I had really high hopes for coming into the year. I put money on him to win Most Improved Player, and that gentleman is Markelle Fultz. And he's been in and out of the lineup. He did play in that Hawks game. And this moment in the game, Peach, I don't know if it was the same for you. I had an existential crisis in this moment that Welt God brings up. He inserted a video of a play in which Markelle has the ball, kind of tries to get penetration, can't, passes it back out to Paulo, who then again tries to drive. He draws a lot of attention, passes it out to Markelle Fultz, who has 8 feet, I think, between him and Jalen Johnson. He's beyond the arc, something like that. And he dribbles into a contested 18-footer to try to shoot over Jalen Johnson. And Welt God writes, okay, this is a problem. You can't pass up on open threes for a contested 2. Like I said, existential crisis for me. I have been pushing. I have written articles on Orlando Magic Daily. I have said repeatedly on this program, let's, get a contract for Markelle Fultz. This is going to be a breakout year for him. I put money down on him to win Most Improved Player. So I really thought that, this is our guy moving forward. And I thought that because of what we saw in terms of the progression of his shooting towards the end of the year. The shot was a high release, and that high release was moving back to the three-point line. And I thought there was something real there. I thought we might be moving back towards a University of Washington, Markelle Fultz in terms of the shooting. But I think that was a little bit of a pipe dream, or the knee is really more of an issue than he's making it, and that is not allowing him to get a good base with his shot. I hope that's it, potentially, because, man, the scouting report is already out on us. Just clog the paint and force the Magic to shoot. And we can't be passing up shots like this, or else nothing is going to change. Even if you miss it, you got to take it. You got to at least try to make the defense respect you out there. I don't know. Paige, did this stick out to you, this moment?
I agree because, as a basketball player, I'm not a great outside shooter, and I have a habit of doing this, right?
Mhm.
I know that if I'm going to score, my best opportunity is to drive or
Yeah.
shoot an inside jumper somewhere, around the keys.
Yeah.
That 3-point line is not my jam. But if I'm in a situation like this where I'm that open, I will shoot the three because, and like basketball lore dictates, if you're that open, you must shoot. I
Yes.
mean, unless you're Shaquille O'Neal or somebody who's like a center or somebody who doesn't ever shoot the three. If you're like, you're 6 feet and under 7 feet, you should be firing that ball because
Yeah.
you're that open. And no one would get mad if you miss,
Right.
right? It
Yeah.
would be the right basketball play to shoot that open a shot.
Yeah.
That's why you run plays.
Mhm.
The purpose of every play you run is to get someone an open shot.
Yeah.
That's it. So to take it and run out of it and run closer to a guy who's been blocking shots all night is not the best move. Like, so yeah, it's concerning that he does that, and I feel like maybe that Markel from Washington days, it could be over. Like, this
Yeah.
could just be who he is now and what he does, and that's tough because when you're seeing the rise of Anthony Black, who might be able to surpass in some of the shooting areas, and once you become a shooting option, now you can drive by guys again, right? Because now
Yeah.
people have to respect that you're out there. With Markel, they totally are fine giving him that much space because he's either A, not going to shoot it, or B, is going to shoot it and miss. Look, if I was defending us, I'd do the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen a lot of Magic basketball over the last few years. We know what our guys can do and can't do. Other teams know it too. So you got to adjust and adapt. He's got to start shooting that shot. Hopefully they go in, but he has to at least start shooting those shots to demand they space the floor a little better. Because look, on this play, right where this still is, even if he drives into the middle, Franz is pretty open too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, if you drive towards Franz's man and kick to Franz, because obviously he's a better 3-point shooter, all right, that's a good second option too. But in this case, it wasn't there. And you know what? It's super weird to look at Markel Fultz without the braids. I don't like the short hair look. I think it's affecting him. I think it's having a Samson-like effect on him. I think he needs a hair back.
A Samson-like effect. He's lost his power. He needs to grow it back immediately. You teased it, Peach. I mean, this debate now is, I mean, it's not really I think when Markel Fultz is ready, he's immediately back in the starting lineup just because of how he's a wizard with the basketball. But it's enough to get some chatter in the Magic community. And Orlando Man 407 put together this masterful Photoshop here of Marvel Civil War. It seems Magic fans are having another civil war about the starting point guard of this team. But what say you? Who should start for this team? And it is Anthony Black and Markel Fultz in place of what? That's Iron Man and Captain America?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I saw the film. I think I must have.
I don't know if I saw the film.
I think Orlando Man is having a little fun here, but this is not unwarranted. And I don't want anyone in the comments, okay, coming at me and saying I'm a negative fan for having the debate and having fun. All right. This is what this team is about this year. Competition. That's how you elevate the team. This is a competition for the starting point guard role, and it's not a problem that we're on here having fun debating it and talking about it with me, a moron with a microphone. And it's unfortunate also because, Peach, I talked about this coming into this season, that there's so much duplicity in their skill sets. They're coming in as seemingly like pass first, just talented, defensive, dribble-minded guards who have a nice inside paint and they're very intellectual players, but the knock on both of them is that they cannot shoot the three. So you can't have them both on the floor at the same time right now, as it seems, and that's why this becomes a competition. If one of them was shooting really well from beyond the arc, hey, we could say maybe both of these guys are starting in the future, or there can be lineups with both of them. But it doesn't open itself up to that because it seems like it's not a possibility right now. Peach, am I overreacting? Am I being a negative Nancy? Do you need to say? Do we need to call out Karen right now? Am I being? You stop it, Kyle. You're being too harsh on these young men. Just only be positive.
I think it's still Markel's spot for sure. AB's still young, but
Yep.
the point you just made is right on. If AB is going to start shooting the three and making it, and I heard somewhere on a podcast that he's shooting 50% this year, then if that's the case, then at some point they're going to be like, well, we got to go with the guy who will actually shoot and it sometimes make the shot, right? Because if that's the only real difference in their game, I'm not sure it is right now, but I mean, I think Markel still has a lot more experience and knowledge that will help him out in there, but he does need to eventually add that better shooting prowess in there and become an offensive weapon. If they both aren't, they both can't be out there at the same time. We've done that with units before where we had Chuma Okiki out there and somebody else. And okay, now we can only give the ball to two guys on offense. Like, you need to have a second option because, like you said, this is a competition all throughout our lineup. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later. We're trying to figure out what dudes are guys that are going to be here for a championship run, right? Who are those dudes and where are they going to fit? And it could be that Kel is here, but he's the bench guy. It could be that he's the starter. And that's what we're trying to figure out this season. It's too small a sample right now, especially since he's missed some games. It's been only 9 games. I wouldn't hand the reins to AB quite yet, but he's making a case for himself. That's all you can ask is he gets some time. He plays well enough to make you think about it. That's a good thing. You want that. We want that. We want the guy coming off the bench to be just as hungry and just as talented. And no matter who wins here, as long as they're both suiting up for the Orlando Magic, we all win.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. But I do have a couple more points that I want to add, Pish.
Such a good closing point.
I know it was, but as you were thinking, you made me so many other juicy tidbits came up, and I kind of wanted to summarize how I was feeling about this.
All right, do your thing.
May I?
Yeah, do your thing. We can always edit my point to come in last, I guess.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, we'll edit it all together. It'll be a nice happy bow. Put a ribbon on it. I think when I'm looking at this right now, the factors that I'm kind of weighing is what makes Markel so valuable is the veteran savvy that you mentioned. Like, there are times when we're losing games where we need kind of an adult in the room. And we need someone to slow things down. We had so many turnovers in some of those games, especially the couple that Markel was not in, and we really missed him in those. And we needed that kind of that veteran presence. And he is, I think, at this point, a little bit more creative on the ball than Anthony Black. He's able to get to spots that no one else is. Now, on the side for Anthony Black, if you're going to argue why he should be in the lineup maybe right now, it's a couple things. Well, the defense is better. He's willing to shoot the three. We'll see if this is real or make-believe, this percentage. I don't think it's going to stay at 50%. But if he's willing to take it and it goes down once in a while as a set shooter, that's great. And then the other point I've seen that I did want to give a little airtime to, and that's why I couldn't end on your tremendous point and your nice wrap-up, was it puts the ball in Paulo and Franz's hands a lot more because the usage right now of Anthony Black is so much lower than Markel Fultz. And as much as I love Markel Fultz, there is the argument of like, yeah, we want the ball in his hands because he's so creative. He gets people open shots. But on the flip side, there's also, we kind of want Paulo to be creating some stuff. We want Franz to be creating some stuff. We want them to get repetitions at that. And with Anthony Black next to them, he's more complimentary at this point in his career. And it provides a little bit more for that. And I thought that was a valid point that I saw brought up online. Not necessarily my point, but something I wanted to give voice to. And then Cole Anthony's over here like, hey, guys, I'm the one who can actually shoot threes.
Yeah, I was going to say the actual best fit might be Cole Anthony.
Right.
Except for maybe that the other guys are better options on defense. But as far as from an offensive standpoint, you're right. I like Cole in there, and I think that's why he's in a lot closing games, right? Mm-hmm. He's the bucket.
Yep. When he's hot, he goes to him. All right. Are you ready for the other NBA teams interlude part aspect of social media roundup, Pish?
It's time to go around the league.
Here we go. The first one. The first one, if you haven't seen it, run, dash, just go, drop everything you're doing right now. Check out the Hawks post. They caught a little bit of ire for this. The Atlanta Hawks, in trying to hype up the in-season tournament, released an OnlyFans, a Hawks fans, what is it? What would I call it? A parody of sorts, Peach, where in it they have their mascot in a bedroom, just, very tantalizing. And there's a voiceover that says, only Hawks fans know where the real action is. Only Hawks fans know what they really want to see. Only Hawks fans know just where to get it. The all-new NBA in-season tournament. Join in and wake up your wild side. Hot 5-on-5 action.
Yeah, and then DeJounte Murray thought about it, looked at it, and went, wow, look at the size of that hawk. And then realized, man, delete this shit. He was not a fan, not an only fan. It was a fun ad campaign, but that campaign itself and this post and us talking about it right now are way sexier than the NBA in-season tournament will ever hope to be, but we'll save my thoughts on that.
Yes, that's coming later, Peach. I don't know. Yeah, some people were making a deal out of this. DeJounte Murray it's not a great look if your players are coming out against it and it's saying like, hey, this is kind of a distraction. And we've seen this progression of the social media teams for a lot of teams around the league becoming much less buttoned up. It's more what social media kind of is supposed to be, which is very tongue-in-cheek, this alternate space to do things silly. But, I think there is a good argument. You don't know who's following this, tons of kids. Although, would a kids really get the reference? A child probably wouldn't understand the reference. They would know it's kind of lurid and maybe a little salacious, but would they?
Anybody who's old enough to have an Instagram knows about it. Like you know what I mean? Even if if you have your own Instagram, you at least know about it. You may not have been, but you'd heard of Playboy before you ever cracked one open as a kid, right? I mean,
for sure. No, you're right. And my students tell me how their feed, all their feeds are just inundated with all types of porn adjacent stuff. Not necessarily porn, but there's tons of ads that kids are seeing in middle school, which is just that's the larger issue than maybe the Atlanta Hawks social media team here.
Oh, the amount of people that add me on Instagram, my personal Instagram, and then try to chat me up, and then eventually it's just they're leading to their OnlyFans page. It just, I have to pretty much ignore everybody at this point. And Twitter was the same way, where people just try to slide in your DMs. Hey, check this site out. Hey, check that. It's you can block people, but it's you're blocking 6 people a day, and it's just
it's a tidal wave.
Just start over. Yeah,
it's a tidal wave. So maybe we should just.
And they're trying to do business. I get it, but
the kids can't get away from it. So just let's just start them all on porn early on. No, don't do that. That was horrible. Porn has fucked my life up in certain ways. So, but that's a whole different psychological check-in, not for right now. But did you think this was too much? It's good for I know our demo. We're people who watch this show are mostly 25 to 40 or something. So this could be something for us. Maybe, hey, there's the cold open. There it is. We'll film it after. Are you ready for some hot family action right now? Oh, dude, we can be step cousins, dude. Step is huge. Everyone's doing it.
This guy gets excited anytime he gets the opportunity to stimulate a nipple. He gets all excited.
The male nipple is very sensitive and it doesn't get the attention that the female nipple does, but it should. Okay.
Not gonna argue that.
Okay. Okay, the next one. This one is really good. Pishu posted this, and I immediately started laughing. This one is just taken from NBA on ESPN. And
they reposted.
Okay, they reposted it. It's the throwback Minnesota Timberwolves logo. And if you're watching now on YouTube, you'll see it. And this guy, Ian Carmel, says, I like the Timberwolves retro logo, but it also looks like it just saw its crush agree to go to prom with a different guy.
Nailed it.
You can't unsee it. You can't unsee it.
Yeah. I mean, I laughed so hard. This was, to be real, this was a toilet find. And I think it may have laughed the shit right out of me. Look at that. Look at that wolf. He's just like, oh, but James, we're supposed to be friends. And Like I've made that face, so I guess I identify. And my school colors were green and blue, so this really hits home.
Oh shit, dude. A lot of psychological check-ins happening throughout.
And ironically, we were the Lakers, which are more common in Minnesota and started in Minnesota. Look at all those connections.
Wow. Well, thanks for posting this, Peach. That just gave me a laugh. If you're listening, make sure you watch on YouTube, okay? Watch, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Get this absurd content to more people. I mean, shouldn't this be everywhere? Shouldn't we be famous by now, Peach? Come on, second cousins, help us out.
We're famous in our parents' houses.
Okay, here we go. Another around the league. This one is leading into some in-season tourney talk. It is from the court for the Miami Heat, and I hope that you put this on here to make fun of it, Peach. This is the inside the paint of Miami's new Heat culture court. It's the paint. It is the painted area of the basketball floor court, and it's a whole quote. It has hardest working, best condition, most professional, unselfish, toughest, meanest, nastiest team in the NBA. They must have been in their emotions like Jimmy Butler on Media Day or something.
I mean, listen, I've been pretty fortunate through, work or just knowing people. I've been able to go inside some of professional sports locker rooms and see what's in there. This is the kind of stuff that should be inside the locker room. This is up on that wall that's in your locker room. That's the players only area or something. You know what I mean? Like only the trainers and the coaches and the players maybe go in. That's where you write stuff like this. You don't write it on your key. And if you did do something like this, one would have to argue that this probably belongs to the Detroit Pistons of the
bad
80s
boys
and 90s, and this would have fit their mantra at the time. So if it was ever going to be done, it should have been done by the bad boy Pistons, because that's what they were going for, the nastiest team in the NBA. Nowadays, if anyone even breathes in an area that makes them seem nasty, they get hit with a technical foul.
Right.
And then we have to figure out whether it's a flagrant 1 or a flagrant 2. So the fact that the league is even allowing them to write this on the court sends a very weird message to me. And I think if you're just putting a huge target on yourself, which the Heat don't need to do, especially with such a new team. They lost a lot of that team that went to the finals last year. They're trying to put stuff together down there. Like, I don't know. I just don't. This doesn't belong in the paint of an NBA court. I don't care what your Heat culture message is. That stays in the locker room. That stays with the team there. Shouldn't be written out there. And the NBA shouldn't have allowed them to write something like that on the court when you're trying to cut down on the fighting and the scrapping and all of the shit talking. So why let them write this in the key?
Yeah, it seems a little thirsty to me, Peach. It seems a little bit like an overzealous dating profile. Like, you don't need to say it if you are it. You're not over there on Hinge or whatever it is, your preference. And I'm like, I'm cool. No, I'm really cool. Like, hang out with me. I've got a really nice penis. I've got money. I'm great. Trust me. It's like, yeah, that's fucking desperate, man. If you have it, you got it. If you got it, just it'll exude from you. You don't need to fucking tell everybody about it.
Mm-hmm. Don't talk about it. Be about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, just do it with your play. And if this is written in your locker room and this comes out in a story, right? Like that you're living up to what you wrote on the story of the wall inside, then it's way better than when you write it on the key and our first round exit in the playoffs.
I hope Paolo Banchero just yams on somebody and flexes on him, like on this quote, and then we can get a nice aerial shot of it or something. That would make my day.
That's why I don't want to put that bullseye on yourself, but the Heat will learn. We'll see.
Someone else that hasn't learned, actually. This is the last one. This was amazing. The Mavs announcer, if you have not seen this, try to find this somewhere. Just absolutely, his name is Brian Damaris, went in on James Harden after I think the Mavs dismantled the Clippers, and you could tell this was pent up for a while. And he said it, I mean, so articulately, just laid out, just used James Harden, just said facts, just said the factual timeline of James Harden's career, and the absurdity that is his request and was his request from Philadelphia to leave because they didn't appreciate him and he didn't have enough control. Bro, you had like one of the highest usages in the entire league. You had the ball in your hands all of the time. You were the guy next to the MVP, by the way, the best player in the league, who you should have just been focused on just making him great and using him as the vehicle to drive that. It was beautiful. He hit on like you wanted Dwight Howard, you got Dwight Howard, you chased him out. You wanted Chris Paul, you chased him out. You wanted to go to the Nets, play with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. You fucked that up. You got traded then to Philadelphia to reunite with your long lost love and Daryl Morey, and then you fucked that up, and then you hate him now, and now but you know who I blame for this, Peach? The Clippers. All right, like screw. Ballmer, he loves his team, and this is getting him it's too much passion. It's too much overzealousness now, and it's gotten him to a bad spot. This isn't going to work, man. Why do you need – we say we have a freaking log jam at the guard position, and we have a bunch of guys who are still developing. You know who all four of those players are. You know who Russell Westbrook and James Harden and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are. That's not an assemblage of a winning roster. And you gave up didn't they give up another first round pick or something? Or at least a first round pick swap? Like, why? Why do you know he's just going to want to be out next year? Thank you, Brian Damaris. Thank you so much. Much love, sir.
Yeah, I've probably recommended people check things out a time or two on this show. Mm-hmm. This is a must-see. If you have not seen this or heard his exact rant all the way through, because of the articulation and because he doesn't have the freedom to swear, you could tell. But this was he
wanted to swear. If he could have, he would have.
Yeah, he would have. Yeah, exactly. But I don't know if James Harden did something to his family or what.
Yeah.
But like this guy just and it seems out of pocket. But like you're saying, it's all facts. It's all straight facts. And to be honest, when he left Houston to go to Brooklyn, I already felt this way.
Yeah.
So now he's gone to Philadelphia and now LA for the Clippers as well. And now it's like this is being said. And it's like, yeah, man, I've been on this for a while. Like I would never want this guy on my team. He's not a winning dude. The only like winning player they have on that team is honestly Kawhi, because he's won with San Antonio. He's won with Toronto. And if he's healthy, he's arguably one of the best players in the NBA. But I don't know if that collection of guys around him is going to be enough. He's the system. You're the system, bro. You have the balls, the temerity to say you're the system, dude. Your system hasn't won shit. So why don't you think about getting yourself into someone else's system that can fucking win, dude? Like, stop thinking you're the shit when like your best years are past you. You don't really play a lot of great defense anymore, and you're a chump, dude. Everybody, you're laughing stock. If you're not currently on this team, there's a good chance you don't like James Harden, because he kind of goes to teams, ruins the culture because it has to be his way or the highway and system. And look, these are some years when the Sixers could have been winning championships, right? They actually had a process in place, right? That they wanted people to trust. And this guy came in and fucked it up with his system. And it's like, so, I don't really care for the Sixers, so I can't say I feel bad for them. But
they've done nothing but win.
Build something.
Since they've gotten rid of them. They're like 7-1. They're number 1 in the Eastern Conference, and the Clippers have lost 4 in a row since they got them.
Start looking at yourself, as Brian Damaris says. I think you're the problem.
Yeah. Oh, and this is like a little hometown cooking for you now, Peach. Dallas. This is a proud moment for you. Kind of.
Yeah, well, I haven't met this guy, but or seen any of his games because unfortunately the Dallas teams down here are covered by Bally's, and Bally's down here isn't something that appears on YouTube TV. It's like a separate channel I have to buy. So like it's an app that I have to buy and then download and watch, which I have not done. So I don't even see the Dallas Stars play any road games.
Well,
I only see them play home games because I go to the game.
No, I was gonna say I don't feel bad for you. You're at every home game.
No, but like the Mavs played the Magic, and
right.
I couldn't come home and watch that game on Bally's because I don't have Bally's. I don't know why they hide their teams on these irregular channels where you can. I didn't watch any regular season Rangers games either. It's like, hey man, You think I'm paying $20 a month for a friggin' channel?
Another channel.
Come on, bro.
Stay tuned for our next podcast. Ice Cousins, Dallas Stars coverage.
Ice Cousins would be fire, bro. We can get some good guests on there.
All right, this isn't a Magic. This is an Orlando Magic show, so we'll get back to some Magic now. A couple more posts to finish this out before we go into fill in the blank. This is a monster piece. We've already been going for 45 minutes. We're going to go for another 45, it feels like. This is some good content that we're pushing out here. Yeah? All right, well, okay. Maybe not. Peach is getting tired.
Well, since the writer strike is over now, like I said, we can. It's a better show now.
Yeah. All those people that we pay, all the writers we pay are back on. They were complaining about their unions. No, I'm very, very pro-labor. Just want to set that out there. Okay.
Well,
all right, here we go.
You have to, otherwise you get screwed.
Yeah.
Thanks, woke.
All right, here we go. Joey, I don't want to call out Karen on me. Are you Aunt Kyle? Okay. Get back and out of there, Karen. Fuck. Okay, here we go. Joe Ingles post. Another one from Welt God, the man, the myth, the legend. Got to have him on the show again sometime soon. Is it possible that for the first time ever, every single Magic fan is correct and Joe Ingles is actually good while simultaneously also being cheeks? And this is an Office meme. Oh, thank you, Peach. Now I can't freaking read the meme.
Sorry, I couldn't see it as it was. I was trying to blow it up, but it wouldn't let me make it bigger.
This is I'm not super familiar, but they're being provided two options in the Office. Corporate needs you to find the difference between this picture and this picture, and one is Joe Ingles, 5 assists, 3 boards, 3 steals, 1 block, and plus 27. This must have been in like the Lakers game or something. But also 1 for 6 from the field, dad bod, 0 aura, and who's this character, Peach? What's her name?
This is Pam.
Pam.
Come on, man.
She's saying they're the same picture. Sorry, dude. I know.
Hey, if you're gonna crack on me for not watching enough Magic games, I'm gonna crack on you for not watching enough other stuff.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I earned that. You have something to say on this one, Peach?
Well, I love this meme. I've always loved this meme. But yeah, I think these are the same thing, right? I mean, this is why you look at Joe Ingles and you're like, that's an NBA basketball player? Doesn't look like one. As you said on your wrap up the other day, which was a funny one. He moves at a minivan pace, right? but minivans are they're great. They're great utility vehicles, right? You got a lot of stuff to move. You got a lot of kids. You got to throw them all in the back and get to soccer practice. Boom. Minivan. It gets you there, right? Gets you there safely. It doesn't get you there fast, but it gets you there. It gets you there. So there's going to be a little of the good with the bad with that. It's part of the reason you can get them on a cheaper contract too, right? Because you can always point to the right card and be like, how's that body fat? Right? How's that working? But he does a lot of stuff. And I think in particular, when you see him on the court, he just looks like that, like you'd said with Markel, a grown up on the court.
Right.
And that's the way I feel about him on the court in the last few games I've seen is I'm like, Joe's out there. Like if things get out of control for a second, Joe will kind of settle things down because he wants it back on that minivan pace. And that's tough. That's tough for a lot of young players to do. We saw that with Jalen Suggs when he broke in. Everything, he was going too fast, right? He needed to slow down a little bit and let the game come to him, which he's kind of doing. But Joe kind of has that effect on the whole team. So I like the meme. I bet Joe wouldn't be offended by it. I bet he'd be like, yep.
Oh, mate. That's good, mate. Sorry, Australians.
Yeah, that's Shona.
Sorry, Jay.
Shona's a lot like me, yeah.
Yeah. I wish I had 13 points.
Yeah, I mean, Joe wasn't ever brought in here to be filling the stat sheet. Right? He was brought in here to be that veteran, to be that guy that's the adult on the court. Job well done.
Yeah. No, he's definitely he's putting all the kids in the minivan. You're right. It is an apt metaphor. Thank you for making it into an extended metaphor. I really do appreciate that, Peach.
Well, you started it.
Yeah, well, no, but you kept it going, and that makes this English teacher's heart just fly with joy. Looking at Joe Ingles here, 9 games, Peach. He's shooting 22% from the field, 23% from the 3-point line. There's nothing that's going to pop off the stat sheet. He has not been shooting the 3-ball well. And that's really one of the biggest things that we hope to get from Joe Ingles. I wrote an extensive article about what I thought Joe Ingles was going to bring to the Orlando Magic. And it was mostly some of that like ambiguous culture stuff. He when, in games when people are starting to get frustrated, maybe we have a turnover, a call doesn't go our way, he's the guy to call everyone into the huddle, calm people down, get people set into a nice half-court offense, which I think will also pay off if we get into the playoffs as well, because as you know, everything kind of slows down to that minivan pace. It becomes much more of a half-court game, and we kind of struggle in the half-court sets, probably because of our shooting, and people just jamming the paint on us. But he at least he's motioning to people, getting people moving, and him on the ball is much more delightful than I thought it would be. When he's getting people the rock in open positions, he's had some nifty passes. I'm just hoping, that it's not as cheeks as it has been in terms of some of the productivity that we're seeing from Joe Ingles. And I mean, this guy's supposed to be a 40% shooter from beyond the arc. He's seen a couple go down, but damn, he's like, what, 20? What did I just say? 20 something? That's got to come up.
I don't know. I got to use my timeout here on cheeks. I don't understand. I'm not familiar with this reference.
Okay.
I can tell because of my English background that it's meant in a negative way here. But why are we using cheeks as a negative now? Is that a thing? People are.
Yeah. It's when you're no good at something, your cheeks at it. Yeah.
Cheeks as in the butt, but like I
Right.
thought butt was good. Do we not like big butts anymore? Are we lying about it? What's going on?
It's a context thing, because you can say, "Oh, I'm getting some cheeks." I'm about to go clap some cheeks over here, and that's a very positive connotation.
Okay, that I've heard. Right. So
yeah,
that makes sense to me.
Context matters. So, that's what we're learning.
I guess. If you're gonna go, just say something's ass or say something's butt, and it sounds a little more like the negative than cheeks sounds positive. You got to clap the cheeks. You got to.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, I'm not familiar with that one, but
you're right. We
should
have a MAGA perspective. Make ass great again. Like, we don't want ass to ever go into a negative space. I appreciate
ass
that.
Is in a positive space right now in the world. People are talking about, look, they're dining on it. I mean, they're people seem to be the ass is higher than maybe it's ever been before.
Yeah, well, as it should be, in my opinion.
Not since Jorge Murson has an ass been so high, but I feel like it's just, that's what makes it weird to me. Like, all of a sudden we're using that term as a negative when like everyone's speaking so highly of the ass and ass play and ass things. Like, so it seems odd.
Yeah, you definitely spent a year with me talking high on ass play. All right. I think you're just talking about me.
Okay, maybe it's not everybody else. I don't know. I'm not going to take a survey, though. I've been here 6 months. I'm trying to stay longer. Yeah. If I start asking at work about it, I'll be out.
We'll ask the Hawks social media team to put out a survey on Twitter. All right. Joe Ingles. So, is he continuing to get playing time for you, Peach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's
until there's some better option off the bench to come in and do the things he does. He's right. Like you said, he's a great passer, and he definitely does a lot of those little things that, our bench squad needs, with still a lot of young guys trying to find their spot and their role.
Yeah.
His 3-point shooting will improve. He's still coming back off an injury. He's still trying to work himself back into his game shape, and that will come back. And when that comes back, it'll probably make more of a difference in the stat sheet on a night-to-night basis.
Okay, last thing, Peach. Let's go to our boy Franz Wagner. It's a little love from NBA Europe. Swipe right to see Franz being Franz, and it's a nice compilation of the stats from the German Wunderkid. Yes, Franz, we love you. And I just need to apologize to Franz. I realized it this morning, Peach, after cutting that recap last night, that I didn't even mention Franz in the recap.
You did not.
I talked about Moritz. I talked about Paulo. I talked about Jalen, AB. Did not talk about Franz. I think in a previous one, I just did not talk about Franz. He's not been on top of mind for me. I think that's because he's been having a little bit of a rocky start, shooting the ball. Just, not his numbers. I don't think he'll end the year, but I said at the beginning of this year in a group chat, Franz is our best scorer. That's my opinion right now, as of right now. because he's a 3-level scorer. He can do so much around the basket. Those Euro steps to either side, the high kiss off the glass, that's just unblockable. He does that against 7-footers routinely. You cannot stop that. Really dangerous in the paint. He has a lot more off the dribble than most 6'10" guys. That's in large part because of the injuries last year. He got so much on-ball time. So that is one of the positives of that very tough start to 22-23. And he has that shot. We've seen it go down in FIBA. We've seen it the step back. He's got the shot from beyond the arc. I'm excited. He started putting it together last night. What did he have? 20 points, 22, something like that?
Yep, 22.
He's on the up. He's putting it together. I think everyone's putting it together right now, and I just needed to make a public service announcement, an apology, sir, to Mr. Franz Boogie Wagner.
Yeah, I think the great thing about this post that stood out to me is this isn't the Orlando Magic putting this post out. It's not HQ. It's not six-man show. It's not us. It is NBA Europe.
Yeah.
Right now, I know that's a smaller portion of guys to choose from, but the statement of them saying Franz being Franz, now it's out there in the collective that everybody knows what Franz being Franz is, right? This is part of how guys get on the map and start to get voted on for all-star games and things of that ilk. This is part of that changing over, which you love to see. I've saw a couple places while I was looking for social media stuff, people talking about, Paulo as being probably in the All-Star game this year. Those are the kind of stuff you start to see pop up around, and people start talking about this and that. And you start to realize that, yes, this is the respect that's coming. And I'll tell you what, you're not mentioning of him in a way is sort of respect, because Franz is just being Franz and you're just like status quo, right?
Well, thank you for spinning that in my direction. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, that's the way I feel about it. Sometimes you don't appreciate the guys that are balling out, the Paulos and the Franzes, as much because you expect them to drop 20 and 10 a game, right? And then so you focus on wow, Moritz came in, he had 19 points. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because that is the thing that kind of you don't always have that's bumping you over the top. But don't forget to shed some love on our team. And I'll tell you this right now, I didn't know how I was going to wedge this in the show, but I'm wedging it in here. There was a security guard working for us the other day covering Stars practice, and we started talking about hoop. Yeah. And I was excited to talk hoop with him for a second. And he was talking about the Mavericks, how they won a game the other night against the Orlando Magic. But then he said, those guys aren't any good. And I said, whoa, sir, you better step back because you don't know what you're talking about right now. He's like, well, what do they got on their team? Bull. And I was like, I walked away. I'm like, this guy thinks bulls. I had to come back because
I had to educate
for work. Yeah. Oh, I'm at work.
Okay, yeah.
But, so I came back, and then I was just like, Bull is not even on the Magic anymore. He's on the Suns, and he sits on their bench and does nothing. And he's like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah, that means you've only seen highlights of the Orlando Magic because he would make a couple highlights a game that were weird, and you thought he was a good player, but he stinks. He has no effort, and he doesn't have the ability. If he had the skill, if he had the drive, then he'd be Victor Wembanyama. I know I heard Shaq talking about that a while back, but he does have that skill set. He just doesn't seem to have any drive or care to improve or work on his game or actually do things correctly. But that's who he was. So please do not think Bull's on the Magic anymore. And look, I tend to lean a little casual myself, but I know who's on what team. And to think Bull was a factor, if that's the only name that he came out with from the Orlando Magic, I'm pissed.
No.
But he's obviously not the target demo.
He's casualing way hard than you would ever desire to casual there, Peach.
He may have brought me out of the casual cave, my guy.
You're like, hold on, I need to correct all this. That's hilarious. Lean casual. All right. Well, that is the social media roundup. Thank you, everyone, for your interesting and insightful or just downright funny posts about our beloved Orlando Magic. Some people, out there, we much appreciate people giving us the @court_cousins on either Instagram or Twitter. It makes our job easier. You heard Peach saying he was trying to dig. Some people added us early in the week after the last show. Keep doing that because we need to see this stuff. We need to get it on the show. So maybe we'll end up. If you hit us up, we greatly appreciate it. Make our job easier. Thank you. All right,
I'm not on the X Twitter anymore, so I don't get anything from there.
You're completely off?
I'm done with it. It's been such a better world for me not being on there. And I know I'd had some friends who'd also done the same thing. And
Yeah.
I just feel like for my mental space, it's
Eh,
just good to not be on there. Like
that's what you
I
gotta do,
kind of
man.
miss it for content stuff for the show. I like to be able to pull up a tweet from time to time, but
Yeah.
it's I get stuck in there and then I start arguing with people and shit, and it's just a
Mhm.
road I don't need to go down. So I don't.
Well, that's good. Hey, know your boundaries. That's another. There's so many pearls throughout this damn show. Yeah, I gotta keep social media off my phone. I just do it on the computer Dora. Yeah, team isn't the only one that just got back from Mexico City. Your boy is bilingual. No, I'm sorry, I'm not at all. Try to be.
Did you go to Mexico City?
Well, that's where the game was.
Oh,
Yeah. I sprinkled a little Spanish earlier in the show. I brought up computadora right now. I want people to know I'm worldly. All right, I'm cultured.
right,
I know things.
right. Yeah,
That's why they keep coming
you've been,
back.
you've been overseas, and then you come back and tell everybody it's actually pronounced croissant. You're that guy.
Yeah, I'm the pretentious asshole. All right, here we go. I'm also an English teacher, so I'm rubbing my hands in excitement over this one, Peach. Fill in the blank, that portion of the show where we say a statement, but there is a word or a phrase missing, and we must do exactly what the name says. Fill in the blank. Peach, you ready to get started on this one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's a little ways off, but still, it's always good to talk about team creation, team formation, what this team's going to look like moving forward. It was, a lot of people talking about last offseason, hey, I think this isn't the one. Next year might be the time when we make a big move, when we start seeing this unit coalesce a little bit more now that we're going to be out of the lottery. Please, God, let us be out of the lottery. So, the first fill in the blank of today's show is, Peach, the most tradable guy not named Jonathan Isaac before the deadline is blank.
Before I fill in this blank,
Mm-hmm.
I made this. And
Yeah.
the reason that I put not named JI is because, get ready, about to heap some praise on JI, a rare thing on the show.
Wow.
But JI, the basketball player on the court, has mattered more this season than I've ever seen him matter before. So he is starting to actually matter to me because, wow, look at the way this guy can play. Look at the things he can do. We saw that small sample last year where I just got a taste, right? And it was like, ooh, throwing the ball in the front yard with dad could be fun. But then he left again. But I'm loving what I'm seeing him do. And it's the big man shit that we've needed. And his defensive play is kind of reminded me of another guy, except for he's tall enough to actually block the shots and do the things that this guy can't do. So my most tradable guy, not named JI before the deadline, is Wendell Carter Jr.
No.
And hear me out.
No.
Hear me out. Because I know this is probably what I'm referencing when I'm saying hot take. Here, now we have just reserved ourselves to looking at our staff and being like, oh, we got Wendell there. We're good. We got Markelle at point guard. We're good. But at some points, you need to take a look and see where are places we could make an upgrade, right? Where are places we can make an upgrade? And Wendell's got that beautiful contract, right? That's an awesome contract. A lot of teams would love that. But I would love a player that stays on the court more often and that can deliver on a more regular basis. Wendell, he goes out there. He's solid, right? He's solid.
Very good.
Is he going to jump into that upper echelon that will pop us into the finals conversation in 3 or 4 years? Will he? I don't know.
Maybe.
Will he be on the court enough? I don't know. I'm not saying JI is an adequate replacement.
I was going to say,
no one's missed more games than him.
You're using JI to make this point?
I am, because I'm saying that we need a person that's going to do what JI is doing and what Wendell Carter has kind of done, but with the ability to jump up a level, right? Somebody that can either escalate or somebody that's already escalated, somebody that's up there. And if we're looking for a piece that other teams might want, they would want that kind of production out of that position. And so Wendell might be that piece that we need to upgrade that piece to be a finals championship contender, in my mind. I don't think he's the starting guy on an NBA finals team right now from what I've seen. And because he's in and out of the lineup so much, that is part of it. I love Wendell. I'm a big Wendell guy. I've spoken about him several times on the show and how much I like him. But because these players are on your team, sometimes you like them too much. Like when everybody liked Vucevic or when everybody liked Fournier, it's like, hey, yeah, they're nice guys. They're cool. They're the best players on our team. That's great. But is this team going to win anything with these guys? And at some point, you have to start to realize, who are those dudes, right? Who steps up in the clutch? Who steps up when we're playing somebody other than the Chicago Bulls? So I'm starting to just look at that and go, where are places we need to make upgrades? It was not Franz. It's not Paulo, right? We've got some options at point guard swinging in and out. Suggs is looking like he's stepping into the shooting guard role, but, and, you know, we've been doing a rotating thing with the Gogas and the Moritzes. And, you know, now we've got J.I. doing some of the big man shit we need done, but we need a guy that will do that shit on the reg, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you get him in a trade at the deadline. I'm just saying, let's not consider the idea of taking this piece that we got in a complete steal of a trade and parlaying that into even more. Because I think it's a possibility that some other teams would be willing to take that shot on. But I know it's controversial. You go ahead and fill in your blank or respond to me.
I think I'm going to just be able to rationalize this point in my mind and my heart by saying you're just trying to help the Magic community cope ahead. Because ahead on the road, we are going to have to come in contact with the reality that one of these players that we love will not be on the team. And it's going to be because of a contract fitting situation or a play style or an upgrade, whatever it may be. And you're just trying to get my heart, my poor ginger heart, ready for the breaking that could occur. And I appreciate you making me reflect on that piece. So thank you for helping me cope ahead. I'm assuming that we're already ruling out guys like Caleb Houston and Chuma Okeke and Gary Harris for this. We've been trading Gary Harris for like 4 years, so I don't think he's ever going to get traded. Kevon, like those types of guys. I'm going to stick with rotational guys who are playing, or, you know, I guess, you know, Gary Harris is a rotational guy. I would say that as my easy answer. But if I'm going to go with the hot take, I'll go back to the Civil War, and I'll say Markelle Fultz.
Okay. Ooh,
I'll say Markelle Fultz. Now, it's not very tradable because he becomes a free agent, a restricted free agent at the end of this year. So you'd have to agree to some type of sign and trade, which would just be, again, heartbreaking. But we're coping forward, and we're trying to think about where the next level of this team is. So please don't, you know, devour me in the comments, ladies and gentlemen, by saying I hate any of these players. I'm trying to think about, you know, there's got to be some give at some point here. And just like we talked about earlier in the show, there's a lot of duplication between the skill sets of Anthony Black and Markelle Fultz. And, you know, well, if you're forcing my hand and fill in the blank, I have to do it, ladies and gentlemen. I can't not do it. So maybe that.
It's most tradable guy not named J.I. I mean, it's one of those things where you're building a team, right? And like, if you've ever done this in the video games, you'll be like, oh, I want to take a really crappy team and see if I can make them into a championship contender. You probably don't win it the first year, but you try to get some guys on your teams that are 70s overall, 75s, right? Then by year 2, you're like, I got to get some guys that are in the 80s, right? You keep always trying to make your team better. And there's 2 ways your team gets better. Either somebody you drafted blossoms out of nowhere, the Giannis Antetokounmpo effect of sorts, or, you know,
Jokic.
In our case, it would have to be like, yeah, right. It has to happen like that. Or it has to be like, you know, somebody you've drafted a bunch of guys like AB and Franz, and, you know, it's happening for us a little bit. But that has to coincide with, then you can also bring in a free agent from outside or make a trade for somebody solid to come in to really cap you off. Somebody who's like in the 80s that's going to just fill out your roster nicely, another scoring option. There's lots of ways to build teams, but getting better all the time is what you need to do. And even though I love Wendell, and I know you love Markelle, that must have hurt for you.
Get the jersey right over there.
But if we're thinking about a tradable guy that is somewhat replaceable because of the skill sets we have on our team, and also because we respect that they have a lot of trade value.
Right. Yeah.
We know that some team would come forward with something legit for Wendell or for Markelle. I feel like more for Wendell because of the beauty of his contract.
Yeah.
But that's part of it, right? That's a big part of it. If you can get that kind of production out of somebody for that amount of money, you do want that. Yeah. So I think, will it happen? Probably not.
No.
But if I had to, it's just a thought that started to creep into my mind as I watched him not in the lineup and as I watched J.I. and Goga and Moritz kind of doing a decent little thing on their own.
Yeah. No, we're gonna have to cope ahead, Magic fans. All right, gotta cope ahead. Okay, we're not gonna let's keep it moving. Let's go on to the next fill in the blank, sir. Let's go to I guess we're starting negative. But I promise the fill in the blanks they're gonna get more positive in just a moment.
Oh, I thought we were doing positive first. We're going.
No,
negative.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, let's go.
The battery around.
Let's just like keep everyone down and then we'll lift them up. Break them down like the Marines and then build them back up.
Okay.
So this one, here we go. The biggest disappointment this season has been. Shoot, my answer is going to be exactly the same. It was Markelle Fultz.
Is it? That's what yours is?
That's, the play of Markelle Fultz. I think that may have more to do with the knee, but again, I said this earlier. I put money on this man to win Most Improved Player. I was expecting Markelle to be coming out of the gate scoring close to 20 points a game.
What's your money though? $5, $10? You're not a big better.
We don't need to embarrass me on the internet. Yes, I never put. Although I put 100 on our over and wins, and then I put like another 80 on us to get 40 wins. So I'll put it out there sometimes. But
right,
yep. Here we go. Here I'll say Markelle Fultz for now, and just that play only because my expectations were so high. I'll listen to your fill in the blank, and then maybe I'll think another one up.
Okay, my biggest disappointment honestly has been managing J.I.'s time on the court. We did talk about it a little bit last show, but for me, I'm just like, yo, is this guy ready to go or not? Because I was told all offseason he was. We see him doing all the preseason stuff, and I feel like, all right, he's part of this team now and do this thing, but then he still feels like he's being restricted, right? And it's like, is he good to go or not? Because he looks like one of the most in shape dudes I've ever seen in my life, right? Like that dude is ripped. Yeah. He's yoked. He looks ready to go. Like, I get that, maybe he's not ready to play 30 minutes in a game right off the get-go. Who is after an off season, by the way? But at this point, he should really be the starting one, I think, probably. Like, and I get that you love what he brings off the bench and how you can mix him in, and maybe Mose is more excited about that. And I know that he likes to keep his rotations the same. Right. So a lot of times what he'll do is he'll keep that bench guy in the bench role and move somebody else completely wacky into the starting lineup just so that
like Goga,
the flow stays the same. And I get that. Right. But I think, look, this is from your mind and the minds of many other Magic fans for years. If J.I. is back and he's healthy, how the fuck is he not in the starting lineup? Especially when Wendell Carter is out. Yeah. Okay, there's nobody else to make the case for. Before, when Wendell's there, my respect goes to Wendell, despite what you just heard me say in the last one. But with him out, it's got to be J.I., right? And look, J.I. has done nothing to prove to me that he will be anything less than great when he goes out there, especially defensively. Offensively, it's coming along, but he's added the three-point shot. He's doing some other things. He's rebounding like a mother. I just want more of it, right? I want to see if this guy is good to go, because at some point when that trade deadline comes around, if he's playing amazing like he's been playing, well then, Wendell feels a little more expendable, right? But if he's not, then ship him out, because we've got to make a decision on him at some point this year that would tie up a lot of money. So we need to see a bigger size of what he can do. And if he can't give you 28 minutes a night, we don't want that. Yeah. So let's get him out. Let's see what he can do, right? Like at some point when you're fixing something, right, you fix it up. At some point you just put it back out there and you go, all right, you a little bit fingers crossed, right? You just kind of hope it keeps working. But if it doesn't, then you need to buy a new one, right? Yeah. So let's have that mindset and see what he can do. Let him be out there. Don't just put it in sporadically and take it out and baby it forever. I mean, let this scrum man play.
Yeah, he's not a collectible. We're not.
Yeah, right. You don't have to put it back in the package. Like, let's go. Let's see what he's got. This is what he's paid to do, is play basketball. He hasn't been able to do it for so long, and now apparently he's healthy and he's still kind of being held back, and that's frustrating because I was kind of told in the offseason that wasn't going to happen anymore.
Yeah, I think you're persuading me that my biggest disappointment this season has been the Groundhog Day injury bug. Like, we're not even 9 games in, and we have Wendell with a broken finger. We've got our starting point guard, again, Markelle Fultz, out with tendonitis in the knee. Gary Harris is out with is his groin? It's just we've already got a few guys, 3 of our probably 10 rotational players who are now out, and that's a bummer. And I think it plays though it does lead into this a little bit counterintuitively, maybe a little bit of a paradox of sorts. Blank has been a positive surprise this season, and I'll say the play of Anthony Black, of Goga Batadze has been the positive surprise this season, of Moritz Wagner. These guys that are being called on to do more, and so maybe the depth has been the positive. I don't know if it's a surprise, but the big positive for me this year, because last year I thought our depth was, one of our strongest suits, and it just wasn't quite ready yet. I was wrong. And we got really injured. But this year, even having, again, 3 out of our rotational top 10 guys out, we're having guys come in and not just fill those roles, but excel in those roles. I love what Goga has been doing on the boards. He brings something way different than Wendell. Definitely not as much of a facilitator on the offensive side, doesn't move his feet as well, can't guard all the positions that Wendell guards. But what Goga does bring is a little bit of rim protection. He blocks shots at the house. And people have to think about it when they come in against Goga Batadze, and I like that about him.
Not Giannis Antetokounmpo.
No, yeah, that was sad. I did have that written down in my show recap, and I did not remember to say it. That was a tough moment for Goga.
There's going to be at least 3 good angles for a Giannis poster that feature Goga.
Yeah. But
hopefully he gets some residuals. I don't know.
When you go to block shots, you're going to get dunked on. You're going to get dunked on. True. And the silver lining, again, of the Groundhog Day injury bug is Anthony Black has been getting some minutes, because we talked about the problem of where's the runway, Mr. Weltman. You said that you like to draft guys that will have a runway to success or runway to play. Well, with Markelle Fultz, I just didn't see the runway for Anthony Black. And maybe with a healthy Markelle Fultz and Gary Harris, there isn't a runway. But we've been seeing some encouraging signs from AB, and he's getting some minutes. And it's not like we're losing all these games like last year. That's why maybe that's the surprise aspect of it. That the fact that we have these our bench and our deep backups coming in, and we're still winning games against the Milwaukee Bucks. And no Damian Lillard, but we're missing 3 of our guys, so it's not an excuse. We beat the Bucks, and we beat the Lakers with our backups. So I like that.
Get the syrup out. This guy's waffling, but he's waffling about what's positive about our team. So that's a good thing, because there's multiple things to be excited about. When you said your disappointment has been the, as you said, the Groundhog Day of injuries. I mean, look, please don't. I mean, come on. As an Orlando Magic fan, you knew there was going to be some at some point, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're not just going to go clean for a whole season. Like,
No.
You knew there was going to be these opportunities. And without saying it, I think that's what they were saying by saying he'll have a runway to success. Like, at some point, he'll be the next man up, right? Like, and that's with an 82-game season. There's going to be some times for guys to show what they can do. And if they get that time and they get in there and they make the most of it, then they'll get more time, right? Like we saw last year, there were pockets of time where Caleb Houston got some playing time, but he didn't really do anything sexy enough to say, we got to get this guy minutes.
Right.
And thus he doesn't get them. Same thing over the past years with like Chuma and other guys. Like, we had to play these guys at some point, but if you didn't earn it, now when we got more guys there that are better, we fling them into the lineup. So I never really worried about him having that runway. I always knew he'd find a way to get in there. I just didn't know he'd make the most of it when he's there. So far, so good. Not blowing my socks off, but good. My biggest positive surprise this season, we talked about it earlier, but it is the answer to this for my blank. It's Jalen Suggs. There's a lot of pressure on him as being that high draft pick. He had some injury issues. He's been in and out of the lineup, right? This is his prove it season. This is where he says, I'm in the starting lineup. This is the chance, like I just said, this is his chance to prove he can be the starting shooting guard for the Orlando Magic. And he's kind of making the most of it. Now, he's had some rocky shooting games, but like for the most part, he's showing what he's capable of doing. And that's awesome. Now, at some point when we're looking at getting to the NBA Finals, is he still going to be the starting shooting guard? I don't know. But right now, he is, and he's the best option, and he's getting it done. So I didn't know it would be done on his good days. I didn't know it would be done this well.
Mm-hmm.
And on his bad days, I feel like that's, about the peak of his bad days. Like he's still a factor on defense.
Right.
He's still going around. He's still taking open shots. They're just not falling. So like he's not doing bad things even when the stats aren't really in his favor. So for me, it's got to be Jalen Suggs because, like I said, we have the stars, we have the Paulo, we have the Franz. We know they're going to deliver. They're going to be there. We needed somebody else to step up. Yep. And so far, it's been him.
I love it. I love that, Peach. All right, last one. It's about that time. The Orlando Magic start their journey in the in-season tournament on Tuesday in Brooklyn. I don't think I'm going to make it, man. I'm going old man. All right, so Peach is already tipping his hat as to how he's going to go on this one. The in-season tournament has me feeling intrigued. Intrigued, Peach. I am intrigued. I'm so intrigued that I was on the ESPN app and I was looking at the season standings and I saw there was a new tab there for the in-season tournament. And I clicked on that little thing and I looked at, the games have started, in what groups, who's leading what group. It wasn't just a different way to dice up the teams in the different groups, which are different from the conferences and the division, or different from the divisions, not the conferences. And I'm intrigued. I've only watched I think maybe one other NBA in-season tournament game, but I'm excited for the Magic to get into it. We've got the new courts; they're interesting. We'll see. I do not know if this is going to matter to the casual NBA fan, but I think a sicko like myself is just happy to have, I don't know, maybe another reason, a little bit more oomph in these regular season games. I don't think I don't think it matters to the players. Like I don't think they give a shit because they're prime athletes. They're gonna try their best every single game, but I don't know. Peach, you were yawning. How are you going to fill in this blank? I have a feeling you're coming the opposite way from me. He's got the glasses on.
I think this is going to be the most different we've ever been on something right here. But like I said, I think you tried to throw that in there early because you wanted to make sure this leans casual, as you know I do. This is annoying to me. That's all I'm saying is I'm annoyed by this. Every time somebody brings this up, I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed looking at some of the team's courts, like too bright. I don't know what the fuck is going on there. I'm all for like trying to make a fun court.
Yeah.
Some people's courts, there was one that was like this weird aqua blue that was kind of hard to see on TV. Maybe it was better in person. I don't know, but it just didn't come across well on TV. This thing is such a fucking waste of time, dude. Like what you just said, I'm so blown away that that's your take on it. Because if anybody cares about this, it is the players. Fans shouldn't give a shit about this. Because why would we give a shit about it? It counts like a regular season game. Yeah. So cool, status quo. We still want our team to win, right? I hope the Magic win this thing, but I do. Because that means we won all the games, and that counts towards our regular season championship, which matters.
Yeah.
Whereas this doesn't, because it's for a trophy we haven't seen except for in the middle of these courts, right? It's not like it has some lineage that's insane or whatever. It's just some made-up trophy. And it matters to the players because they all get a $500,000 bonus if they win. So they're the only ones that would give a fuck, right? Yeah. But if you're one of those guys making millions, this doesn't put a dent in your pocket. It matters most to the guys that sit on the end of the bench that don't make a shit ton of money, like Kevon Harris or Caleb Houston, who probably won't play in those games. So I don't think it works as an extra motivator unless the guys on the team really go, we got to get those guys that extra $500,000, right? Like, I mean, we're watching the rich get richer. It doesn't really do anything for me as a fan. I don't give a fuck about this thing. I just want our team to win games because it counts towards us where we stand in the playoffs and shit. Yeah. So I just think trying to make it a bigger deal than it is just the NBA trying to pump a little bit of interest into the regular season. And look, MLB does 162 games, right? And it's too many games and it's a pain in the ass. But every once in a while they mix in a Field of Dreams game or they play a game somewhere funny, and it's kind of like, ooh. And in the NHL masters this by playing outdoor games,
Yeah.
right? Like in stadiums or like at Lake Tahoe. And it like adds a little fun in the middle of the season. And that's what the NBA should be doing. One time there was an NCAA game on an aircraft carrier. That was fucking boss.
Yeah.
The NBA needs to do some shit like that. I know they've experimented with outdoor games and they've had some trouble with it, but I'm saying there's a way you could make this, there's a way you could break up the regular season with something a little more fun than pretending these regular season games count for something more than they do. Because we as a fan should not give a fuck about it. And I wish everybody would stop talking about it. And I wish this thing will just get swept under the rug. And hopefully 4 or 5 years from now, we look back at this and laugh, because I think it's bullshit.
I like your points better than mine. I'm trying over here, man. I'm just trying. I'm trying to get excited. All right. I think it adds a little bit more oomph, but your points, yeah, you're right, Peach. It would be cooler if they did the alternate locations. And I heard on, I think it was like an NBA Ringer show, Raja Bell was talking about if this truly became, they've based this on the international soccer play, where there's like the English Premier League, but then if you're in the top 4 of that league, you play in the Champions League, and there's various cup competitions happening.
Sure. Well, Orlando City won the version of that, right?
Right.
Recently?
Something like that. Yeah. Something. Well, yeah. It was like North American teams, and just like, so it was like all Mexico, South. Yeah.
It's the same idea, though.
Right. So if it became more international like that, if you gave me it, the thing is, right now it'd probably just be NBA teams beating the crap out of other international teams, or if you add some G League teams in there, like what if we did something like that? You're not into that.
Here's another way I think you could make this same idea a little fun, right?
Yeah.
You pick an alternate location, like, okay, I'm just going to say Jacksonville, Florida, right? No team plays out of Jacksonville.
Right.
And that's where the game between the Hawks and the Magic takes place, right? Like just in Jacksonville. And maybe it's just a site where the 4 teams go and they play their games, back to back.
Yeah.
On one day. Boom, boom, boom. They play, and then they switch them, and they play the other 2 teams like, a day or 2 later. So it's sort of like they go to a location and play a couple games in a different locale, somewhere kind of in between all of them, sort of like the college basketball, like, regional change.
Right.
Just mixing it up by doing something different other than changing the court, which, by the way, doesn't actually matter. It's not like the 3-point line is closer. It's just the court is different color, everybody. Like, let's not, I love stuff changing color. I'm all about that. But like, let's not pretend that matters a lot, because it doesn't.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think to give other cities that don't have an NBA team a little taste. Like if that happened in Hartford, I'd be going batshit crazy. The only thing that does suck. Like, you have us, the Orlando Magic, playing a game in Mexico City. It would be cool. I think the NBA would be more into doing that idea, but internationally. They'd be wanting to play, a series in Germany, a series in Mexico City, a series in Canada, and then a couple in American cities that don't have NBA teams.
I don't like that, but I like it better than what's kicking up now.
Yeah.
Like that, because that checks a couple of boxes. It checks them trying to get all their international shit in, and this in-season tournament. Like, do it together. The Magic played the Hawks on a random Wednesday in Mexico City. Unless you're a fan of either one of those teams, did you really even fucking know? Like, they just didn't really sell that much. And it just seems odd to me. But if you put a couple of teams in locations, say it's part of the in-season tournament, and wow, they're playing in Mexico City, now it's got a little more stink to it. I didn't want to come to this problem and just complain about how much it sucks. I came with some ideas on how you could make it better. So I just,
you're welcome.
Feel like I did my part. And by the way, you can like it if you want to like it. I heard what you said, and that's totally fine. And I've seen, I've gotten in a lot of, I'm glad I'm not on Twitter for this conversation, by the way, because it would not stop. But I've done it a little bit on Instagram with some people, and a lot of people agree with me. I've heard some points the other way. I'm like, hey, if it makes you happy and you feel good and you love this in-season tournament, do your thing. I just think it's a fucking waste of time.
Duly noted. All right.
That's a great cut-up segment, by the way. That one's gonna get a lot of views, a lot of thumbs up, a lot of conversation in the comments. People talking about what they like, what they don't like. Yeah.
That was fill in the blank. We're heading into the large ending, but before we do, another shout out to the All-Stars and Second Cousins over on the Patreon. Magic Player History, Bolby the Dawn, Paulo and Franz's Warmth, Andy, Dylan Holden, Drum, Rafael Perez, Breadhead, Matthew Bell, Dan Young, Gloria and Damien, Connor, and Yachty. We did take a little...
Booyaka! 407.
Yes. Is that a Rey Mysterio thing? He does booyaka?
Yeah, and then he says 619 because he's from San Diego, so that's their area code. So I just put in the Orlando area code there for you.
I get it. We have
somebody can make a video of that, put it together, put Jay Mysterio videos. I'd like to see that.
Okay, let's do it. Thank you, everyone, for the support over on the Patreon. We've taken a step back. I'm kind of rethinking the interaction there, but we really do appreciate it. There's things we want to do. Every month we have over $100 in just expenses just to keep the show running with the technology that we're using. And we want to do some fun stuff. When we go down, Court Cousins Night is happening again. We'll look out for that. It's a little tease of the announcement. That's going to cost some money. We want to put some things into that, make that a really awesome fan experience. And we just really appreciate everyone for making this show more financially feasible for us as we continue to put out this content. But if you can't, that's totally fine. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Spread this to the algorithm and get it to more Orlando Magic fans. And maybe people who don't like the Orlando Magic, and they can just get them. We need to bring more people into the cult.
Yeah, we need more people to know that we have other players in Bowl. So let's go out there. Spread the word.
All right, Peach, it's that time. For the large ending, please push that button. There it is.
It's the red button on top of the hat of the World Series champion. Shortly after while we were shooting last show,
yep,
the Rangers were on their way to winning the World Series. Did you watch any of the World Series this year?
Not a moment. I watched some of the Braves series, but not a moment of the Rangers.
Fair enough. Usually if my team's out, I'm a little bit mid on the baseball following, but everybody was into it around here. It was bananas. I was thinking about going to the victory parade, but it was way too crowded down there. I think they said they had maybe 500,000 people in this tiny area around the stadium. It looked ridiculously lit, though, and everybody was stoked about it. It's a great way it's great to be in a city when they win a championship because everybody's in a good mood. I was wearing this hat around for a while, and then people pulling up to you in traffic and just kind of like they want to talk to you or a thumbs up or hitting the horn. The mania was real, and it was cool to be a part of it here. But hopefully we can get a Stanley Cup championship here this year. That'd be better.
If the Magic win, we're going down for the parade. Yeah, can we do that?
I think so. Yeah, I think that could be planned out. It's usually they give you enough.
Yeah.
I don't have to get home to feed my horses or something. So I look forward to a championship parade. So
all right.
I've been avoiding going to them for a long time. I lived in Boston when the Red Sox win one.
I was there for a couple there.
Patriots ones. Yeah. But I'd like to go to one, but I want it to be my team. I want to be really you
want to celebrate. It wants to be for you.
Yeah. I want to throw confetti and throw beers and just have a good old time.
Oh, man, we would have a shit show down there. That'd be a good time with all the second cousins. All right, Peach, Monday Night Football. You suggested this one for you. So I assume that the Broncos are playing the Bills this Monday? Is that right?
The Broncos are playing the Bills in the Pichet Bowl.
Yeah. So who are you supporting while you're sitting and watching it, and who you think is going to win?
Well, the Broncos have always been my number one team. And the Bills have always been 1A. And I say 1A because they are not a two-tier team. I care about them both almost equally. But usually when they play in the Pichet Bowl, I kind of think to myself, who needs this win more? Who's going somewhere? Yeah. And the Broncos aren't going there. Despite their win over the Chiefs, I still think that they're not going anywhere. Yeah. So I think Bills need the win more. So I will just kind of be rooting for a good game. Hopefully no one gets injured.
Right.
Yay sports, that kind of mode. But I think the Bills need it more. So I'll be pulling a little for the Bills. Also because I don't like Russell Wilson. I don't want him to succeed. I want him out of Denver. So.
All right.
Well. Bills Mafia. Let's go. Paulo is turning 21 today as we record this. That's why I'm rocking the 5 today. And getting my sip on out of this special collector's cup.
Oh, wow.
He was talking about with Marcatelli in the interview after the game about what he was going to be up to. Kind of pleaded the fifth and ran off.
Yeah, that's smart move.
I'm thinking to myself, I wonder what Kyle did on his 21st birthday. Do you remember? What do you know about?
I don't. It was a while ago, man. It's been a while for I'm 30, about to be 36. I do not remember what I did on my 21st birthday, and I mean, it wasn't anything crazy because I've been drinking for a few years at that point, probably 5 or 6 years. I'd already been drinking, so it wasn't like, oh, I can drink now. It wasn't. I didn't have that kind of moment to it, and I probably got really drunk, which is another reason I don't remember it. Do you remember yours? You have a much better memory than I.
I do. I don't. Nothing. I do remember my boss gave me my first legal 6-pack. Of Heineken, which I don't like, but I will still have one once in a while in his honor because he's passed away.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it was during the week, so it was like I got those, probably had a couple at home, but didn't really tear it up on the actual day because I had to get up early for work. I think I made up for it on the weekend. Yeah. Again, that was a time where like, yeah, I'm already drinking around and stuff.
Yeah.
I know I went out, that's for sure, because it's the first time you can drink legally in bars.
Right.
Back then you could smoke in bars. It was a scene, man. And so I know we did it out at the bar.
All right. So in the meantime, until we record episode 57, we're going to have my birthday, another birthday, and Thanksgiving. So what is your Turkey Day staple? What are you going to be cooking up, Peach? Is there something that you must have on Turkey Day?
Well, there's stuff, the basics, the staples.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to go off the board with this one because you asked me the same question last year.
Okay.
And I'm going to say my Turkey Day staple is watching football.
Yeah. Okay.
And this year, I'm going to watch football from in the stadium when you've got the Commanders, don't call them Redskins, and the Dallas Cowboys. I got a ticket. I'm excited to spend my holiday that way. If I can't get in on the family and food aspect, at least I've got the football there in person. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Damn, I'm upset that I'm not going, but I'm going to go over February break. I have to get down there. That's awesome.
Cowboys will be out by then.
No, they're not. We're playing well. We're about to destroy the Giants tonight. All right. You're next, Bish. Go for it.
All right. So that week that I just spoke of, going to that game on Thursday, the Stars have 3 home games that week. That'll be 4 events in 7 days, 6 days actually, for me. What's the most events you've ever attended in a week?
I mean, that's bonkers.
I feel like you might throw on like going to a ballet or a play on there. I'll allow it.
You're talking about entertainment. You're talking about entertainment.
Talking about entertainment. You got tickets and stuff. Boom, boom, boom. It usually happens when you're on a vacation or something like that. I mean, we did a few things when we were in Orlando. We had about 3-4 things in that week because we went to the Solar Bears game, a couple match games.
Right. No, I mean, it's tough, man. We've had some awesome times. I think that's the one I can, again, you ask me all these questions that involve memory, and I don't have a good memory, so you're an asshole for that. I don't really... what I've learned about myself is that I remember moments and I remember feelings. I'm a feeling guy. So I don't remember things. I remember how I felt at certain times. Okay. And when people recall experiences or interactions with me, I can remember them based on how they made me feel, but it's tough for me to remember some of the events that occurred.
Okay, fair enough. You know what? There's no wrong answer to these questions, so you're safe.
I don't know. I guess we went to going into like Brooklyn. I got a crazy December. I'm going to Cirque du Soleil. I'm going to the Magic at the Nets December 2nd. The next weekend I'm coming in seeing Wicked. The next weekend I'm coming in seeing Cirque du Soleil. I got a crazy at the end, December 30th, I'm going to Westchester to see the Osceola Magic take on the Westchester Knicks. So that's not all in 1 week, but it's a bunch in the month. I'm also the day after Christmas going down to Washington, D.C. to see the Magic take on the Wizards. So that's 5 or 6 events in a month. I don't know about, in a week, but that's going to be a solid month. Now,
fair enough.
Peach, one thing that I miss very much about you being here in Connecticut is our joyful voyages. And going to the card store, getting some boxes, getting some packs, and ripping some cards. You going to be chasing any basketball this year? We're getting close to the time when the 23, 24 packs are going to start coming out yet. Are you going to be ripping anything?
Low battery, please charge. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can't hear you. She ran out of juice.
Oh my God. No, dude.
Can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
We're so close.
Oh, that one's dead too.
All right. Well, it's been great. I love you very much, Court Cousins. I'm going to be opening some basketball cards. I think that's a great way to end the show. We hope to see you soon, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks for episode 57. We'll say thanks for coming for Peach, and peace out, Second Cousins.
Are you just ending the show? It's no good.